Hey guys, good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope everybody's having an amazing Saturday. So, something super special for you guys this weekend, and I want to make sure you don't miss a thing. So, if you want the replays, make sure you go to bit.ly/ take back your seat. No, take your seat 2022. I got it. bit.ly/ take your seat 2022. And if you're an African American woman like I am, and the truth is that African is the truth. So if you're an African woman like I am with an origin from Africa, sometimes we're not told the 100% truth about our story. And because we're not told the 100% truth about our story, part of our history lingers in our spirits unanswered. Part of our power goes unanswered. Part of our royalty goes unanswered. Part of who we were destined to be as creatives, as ingenious people, it goes unanswered. So today, I want to invite you guys to take a seat and listen about our past, about our history, and about how that impacts all of ourselves. So I want to introduce Chanel Blackmore, Minister Reverend Chanel Blackmore. But more importantly, Chanel is somebody who is a historian. And one of the things that's happened with especially Black women is that we don't have anybody, we don't have the griots. We don't have the people in our culture to tell the stories of who we used to be. And our story has gotten disjointed. So we have started to believe who the world says we are as opposed to who we were born to be. So, this whole presentation with Chanel is about giving you an opportunity to reconnect with your past, reconnect with your roots, and leverage your ancestors to live your best life. So, with no further ado, welcome, Chanel.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you guys so much for having me this morning. It is truly an honor to sit in this position as not just a historian, but as the town crier. You know, it's the same as Paul Revere's ride when he rode through town saying, "The British are coming, the British are coming." When in all actuality, it's us coming back to who we were from the beginning, because history has told us a lot of things about who we are. Our names and nationalities have been changed. We've been labeled so many different things, but especially Black women. So I want to go ahead, I'm going to share my screen because I think that it's going to be very important for us to even begin to understand who we are, how we're built, how we think. Everything in this society has shaped our mindsets. And so, when I thought about doing this presentation and doing this summit, my biggest concern and my biggest fear was that Black women all over, not just the country, but all over the world, really don't understand their power. They don't understand what they're capable of. They haven't really tapped into that power and that inner power that tells us secretly who we are and how we can express that publicly, openly, and really, really dominate in life. So I want to start with quotes. And anybody that's ever hung out with me or that's ever been in any of my courses and classes, I love quotes. And this is a quote by civil rights activist Shirley Chisholm. And she says, "Tremendous amounts of talent are being lost to our society just because that talent wears a skirt." I want y'all to kind of sit with that. I want y'all to sit with that. I want y'all to think about it. Take a moment and really, really think, what does that mean? That talent is being wasted because it's not wearing pants. It's not masculine. It's the masculine energy that's dominating society, when really that type of power, that place in society is naturally to the woman. Now look, don't come on here, men. and other folk fussing. Today is all about Black women as a whole, women of color, but specifically Black women, okay? I want you to let that sink in, that because of who we are, that we are women, that we are not allowed the same opportunities. So I want to ask, how many of you are just sick and tired of it? And you can put that in the chat. You can put that if you're live watching this on Facebook. Go ahead and put it in. How many of you guys are just sick and tired of that whole dynamic of not having the space and the wherewithal to just be who you are? You know, you're just tired of having a life that is beneath you. You're living in a circular pattern. You're getting up, you're going to work, you're baking the bread. It reminds me of the Dunkin' Donuts commercial. Hey, it's time to make the donuts. I made the donuts. It's time to make the donuts. I already made it. He met himself in the bed. We feel like that sometimes, especially when we get caught up on that hamster wheel of life, not knowing exactly what to do except for what we did yesterday. You're tired of expecting more money on the job, more respect in the boardroom, more opportunities, more time for yourself, but you're still getting less. I remember I used to think, I just don't understand how I'm not further along. I'll never forget, a wise young woman told me one time, she was like, you know, it takes time to build. It takes time to acquire things. It takes time to learn. I'm thinking, shoot, I'm already 30. How much longer do I have to wait to live my best life? How much longer am I going to sit on the sidelines and watch everybody else move forward? It is just this feeling of hopelessness. And I know you guys feel it too. I can't be the only one. It's like Betty Wright say, you just know me and I don't know you. But everybody has felt this way before. But I want to let you know that I truly get it. You know, anybody that's heard me talk before can understand and remember that I felt like I was just standing still. It's like you see those people trying to cross the street on the freeway. The cars are zooming by, big trucks are zooming by. You can feel the momentum. You can feel the speed. You can see the direction that everybody's going. They're moving forward, but I'm standing still. I felt like I just could not move myself forward. You know, I had to make a decision. I had to decide in my own mind that if I didn't do something different, I was going to be stuck here forever. I was going to be stuck living in the projects. There's nothing wrong with the projects. Projects got me through. But I knew deep in my heart that something out there was better for me. I knew that if I did certain things, I didn't know what those things were, but I knew that if I just did something, it was something I was missing. I had the end of the rope, I had the middle of the rope, I had the beginning of the rope, but I didn't know how to make them connect for me to get out of my situation. It's like having pieces of the puzzle, but they all look the same. Or you got pieces of the puzzle and this looks like it's supposed to fit right here, but it never does. And that's a level of frustration that a lot of Black women are living with today. Knowing that there is another level to their lives, knowing that there is a life that's outside of what everybody else says that they can have, but just not knowing how to get it. So let me just reintroduce myself. My name is Chanel Blackmore. As Coach awesomely introduced me, I'm a minister, I'm a certified life coach and business coach. I worked in the field of education for over 18 years. And during that time, I met hundreds of young women, older women that just didn't know what they wanted to do in their life. And I was able to sit with them and talk with them about that. But it gave me a unique perspective, right? Being a teacher, you know, you get to see everybody's arrival, their growth, and their graduation. some struggles, some circumstances, some life journeys are different from others. So you can't look at everybody else's life and say, I'm going to do it just like that, because what you're going to find is that you're built different. And we're going to go in a little bit deeper and talk about that. So here are the objectives of this summit. I wanted you guys to know that success is your birthright. I'm just going to sit there and let you kind of take that in. That means that success is a benefit of you being born. That's what birthright means. When you hear about kings and queens and royalty, they all talk about their birthright. That means that the moment that they were conceived, they had a right to everything that the kingdom could offer. And success is part of that. We're going to talk about why you have to ditch the labels, why you have to stop adhering and conforming to what society and the media and even the people in your family say that you are. We're going to talk about why you must stop playing it small. You can't play life small. You've got to go out there and play big. If you want big dreams, big results, you got to play big. We're going to discuss why you can't believe the hype, what people are saying about, I'll never forget, I had somebody tell me one time, girl, this is what they say you doing. Who said it? Somebody not even in my house, don't even know me. But now you know how I'm supposed to be living. So we're going to talk about that. And we're also going to talk about our ancestors. We're going to talk about our ancestors, our forefathers, those who came before us. Whatever you feel like what you want to call them, I call them ancestors because they came before us. And we're going to talk about why they didn't have jobs and why we end up with jobs. We're going to talk about that. So here's another quote by Ruby Bridges. In case you don't know who Ruby Bridges is, Ruby Bridges was the first child to be integrated out of segregation. She was one of the first children to go into historically white schools as a Black student. And she said, don't follow the path. Go where there is no path and begin the trail. Think about that. You don't have to follow everybody else. You don't have to do that. You can blaze your own trail. It's hard to imagine that you could do that, but you can. So many other people have started businesses. They planted churches. They started ministries and organizations and nonprofits. Hey, you're no different. Why can't you? I've already told you that success is your birthright. Now, I said a little bit. Some of you who know me, you might be already ready to work with me. You're going to see this slide a lot because I really want you to win. I want y'all to hear my heart. I really want you to win. I really need you to shift your mindset because the world is out here. Whatever it is that you expect from it, it can give you. I want you just to erase everything that you were taught in school, erase everything that you were taught in college, erase it. You're going to have to shift your mindset in order to get where you need to be. So if you can't wait to work with me, you want to go ahead and schedule your call now. Look, I'll pause for the calls, bit.ly/pickupyourcrown. Schedule a call with me. Let's sit down and talk about your journey and what that will look like. As I stated before, success is your birthright. Do y'all know who this is? I want to look in the chat. Who have y'all seen these women before? If you're in the Zoom room, you can put your answer in the chat. If you don't know who these women are, these are the founders of Black Wall Street. These are the founders of the town in Oklahoma, Tulsa. They built, along with their husbands, in their communities. They built $1 million settlement or city. These that you're looking at, these women, they're descendants of slavery. You would think after being through slavery, after seeing their parents go through it, their grandparents go through it, that they wouldn't have the wherewithal to do that. But they made a decision. They shifted their mindset. They said, you know what? We don't have to be slaves because our parents were slaves. I want y'all to catch that. We don't have to be who this other group of people say we are. We can do greater things. Because I want y'all to see yourselves in our ancestors. Okay, but I caught that in the spirit. Oh, they may not be my kin people. It doesn't matter. They're all our people. They all shifted the dynamic of society. Even today, that impact of what they did can be felt today. You know why? Because other people see it and say, we can do that too. What you're looking at is the first movie theater that was built by a Black woman. She owned it independently. There was only 2 in the city, and she had one of them. This movie theater made over $100,000 a month in an all-Black community. When we hear people talking about the buying power of the Black woman, you better believe that. You better believe it's not just a rumor. You better understand that that's hard. Here are the founding fathers of Black Wall Street, some of the husbands to these women. Black Wall Street had 600 thriving businesses. It had 21 churches, 21 restaurants, 30 grocery stores. I already told you it had 2 movie theaters, 6 private airplanes. Y'all need to be in the chat saying, wow. Because if this was P. Diddy, if this was Beyonce, you wouldn't have anything to say because it's the norm, right? But I'm telling you, back not less than 20 or 30 years outside of the emancipation of slaves, that these people owned all this. That should be a wow right there. They had a hospital, a bank, a post office, they had schools, libraries, law offices. They even had a transportation system. They had buses. They bought buses. Somebody owned a bus company, and they were able to get people back and forth to work within their community. That's mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing for me when I heard that. Because, you know, all I ever saw this many Black men together, they either pastors or maybe they were rappers, basketball players. But I'm telling you, these people did it as business owners. Am I the only one that's blown away by that? Just wow. Here's another group of people from Black Wall Street. Business owners, educated women, educated men, the children of slaves. You see, your situation does not determine how far you go. Your situation does not determine or limit you. Only you can do that. It's got to be a mindset shift. If Black Wall Street wasn't enough to inspire you to do something you never did before, here are 4 other historically rich Negro settlements. And I say Negro, and I'll tell y'all a little bit later about why I use that word. It's not a bad word. It's just not. Rosewood, Florida, founded by Black people, kept their dollars circulating for years within their community. Seneca Village, New York, now it's Central Park. 5 Points District, New York, Wall Street sits on top of this city that Black people founded. I want y'all to listen. Listen. These people built legacies for their families. And I showed you the women that started it all. It was a movement. And you know, I couldn't let it go without having Texas have some representation. Freedmanstown, Texas. They called it Houston's Little Harlem. How many of y'all knew about these settlements? How many of y'all knew about this? Tell me in the chat if you ever heard of any of this. You got to understand that our history is not just maids and sharecroppers. It is, but it's not just that. There have been so many Black millionaires before Oprah, before Bill Cosby. You got to understand what the DNA that we're dealing with. You got to understand the spirit of our people. And you got to understand that success is your birthright. So I hear some of y'all asking, maybe, why are you showing me this? You know, why does it matter? You know, it matters because I think, Coach, you said this a while back, success leaves clues. That means if somebody else did it before, the pattern is there. The blueprint is there. That means it has been done before. So that means that I can do it. That means it's not something that is so foreign that it's impossible for me. That's why it's important that we look back at our history. That's why it's important that if you have your big mamas with you now and your grandfathers and your grandparents, sit down and talk to them. There's so much wisdom locked up in them. They'll tell you about entrepreneurship. They'll teach you about work ethic. They'll teach you about yourself. We are a people in this day and age who have somehow disconnected from their ancestors. We've somehow gotten away from talking to wisdom. That's what my grandma used to say. When she used to talk to her grandmother, she used to say, baby, I just got through talking to wisdom. Her grandmother's name was Lily. It wasn't wisdom, but I got what she was saying. It seems like this generation despises wisdom or don't know where to go look for it. If you know that people have been rich historically, that means that you can do it too. We all have a call in our life. And look, I'm not just sitting up here spouting church rhetoric, you know, even though I do like a good sermon, but I'm really being honest with you. The Most High created us each to answer a question in someone else. That question that you have that's inside you, should I do this? Can I do this? How do I do it? Where do I go? I guarantee you that somebody in your community is the answer to your question. That's the call. That's the anointing. That's that needing to connect and relate to each other. And I know that Facebook and social media and texting and FaceTiming has almost disconnected us and made us think we don't need each other. When is the last time y'all tell me in the chat, when is the last time y'all called somebody just to say hi, to hear their voice, not a text message? When was the last time you really made a connection with your sister? Ask yourself, do you have a sisterhood or a community? I'm not talking about the girls you go, to the club with. I'm not talking about the people. I mean the people that have the same mindset as you, the people going and moving in the same direction as you, that's building, making plans, that want to leave a legacy, that want to buy land, that want to invest. Where are those people in your community, in your circle? if you're the only one that want to do that, you might want to shift around a bit. The call that's on your life is greater than your fear, is greater than your procrastination, is greater than, oh, what they're going to think if I do it. The same thing they're going to think if you don't do it. There just comes a point in time in our lives, y'all, where we got to answer the call. I hope y'all get that. If y'all get that, put that in the chat. Answer the call. Answer the call. Don't act like you don't have it. And we tend to look at each other like, man, she got it and I don't. But I'm telling you, the Most High gave you gifts and talents. He didn't even ask you to pay for them. That was free to you. All he says is do to use it. He has given each and every one of us something that makes us unique. He's given each and every one of us a gift that is a life-changing gift. The talents support the gift. The gift is the supernatural thing. The talent is the thing that makes sure the gift gets exposed. Make sure that the gift meets its goal. It makes sure, the talent makes sure that the gift reaches the people that need it. I hope that's making sense. So you can't look at everybody around you and say, man, this person got a beautiful voice. I know you wouldn't be talking to me because I do not. But you know, you'll look around and you'll see. But don't discount what you have. And if you haven't taken the time to seek out your gift, if you haven't taken the time to say, what is it that I am required to do? Y'all can go on and say, ouch, because that was deep. I wish I could say it came from me, but that was deep. Because you are required to use your gift. Where my ministers at in the chat, you know the story of the talents? What happened to the one that buried his? It's a requirement. And sometimes that requirement, it hurts because you got to stretch and grow. That requirement is going to cost you something. Just hope you're willing to pay it. And here's the last thing. You owe it to your ancestors to seek out your birthright. You owe it to them. I just showed you all these people in Tulsa. Those people were massacred. They gave their lives trying to create a better reality for their children, for their family, for generations. What has your ancestors given up in sacrifice for you to be where you are today? And how are you using it? How are you benefiting on it? How are you leveraging it for the next generation? How are you honoring that sacrifice? Y'all can say that was another ouch. Thank you for sharing the broadcast, Rose. You owe it to them. They did more than just die so you can vote, y'all. They died for way more than that. So listen, if after all of that you heard, it's moved you to understand that you need to connect with me and work with me, schedule a call, bit.ly/pickupyourcrown. It's a phone call. Schedule that call. Let's sit down and really talk about what it is you need to do, where your journey is going to take you. And yeah, we're going to talk about what that journey is going to cost you, because the oil is not free. It's going to cost you to be uncomfortable. It's going to cost you to look back into your past. It's going to cost you. And everything find it's not going to be peaches and cream. But get the journey started. So let's go a little bit deeper. I'm going to give you guys about 5 to 10 minutes, maybe not that long. Make a list of the 3 things you would change about your life. If everything being equal, you know there's some areas in your life that you want to change. I'm going to give y'all just a few minutes. Those of you in the Zoom room, go ahead. Make a list of 3 things that you would change about your life. And as you write down those 3 things, write out to the side, why did you choose those things? Oh, I love what you just said, Tiffany Mayfield. I wouldn't do so much and I'd live more life. Man, that survival mode is something else. Survival mode will rob you of everything that you thought you could dream. It will take everything from you. And you don't even have to live in survival mode. You can leverage your gifts, you can leverage your talents. And trust me, they will pay you. Anybody else on Facebook want to share? What 3 things? What would you change? You don't even have to do 3. You can put 1. You don't want to have everybody in your business. Thank you, Shanedra, for sharing. Here's the next question. If you obtain those things, how would your life change? Those 3 things that you would change. If some kind of way you got a genie that said, poof, I'm gonna grant you a wish today. And that wish, that genie could give you that wish and make that wish come true for you. How would your life change? Tell me in the chat. Tell me on Facebook. Put in the comments. How would your life change? Just pick 1. Tiffany say, I'd be free. Wow. Free from what, Tiffany? Be more specific. What would you be free from? Oh, you'll be able to travel. Okay, that's good. Let me see some of these comments in the Zoom room. What would y'all be free from, Zoom room? What are the 3 things you would change? And how would they change your life? So Lupita Nyong'o, she is an actress. She plays one of the most powerful roles in Black Panther. And this is what she has to say. What I will say is that what I have learned for myself is that I don't have to be anybody else, and that myself is good enough. And that when I'm being true to that self, then I can avail myself to extraordinary things. You have to allow for the impossible to be possible. So I chose this next slide. I wanted to show you guys this photo. And I want you to look at these women. And the young lady in the middle says, I'm tired of being the angry Black woman. You know, there is no doubt in my mind that society hasn't been kind to us. You know, if you think about having to deal with all of the different stresses, the stereotypes, the statistics, you know, just the, I don't know what you would call it, the aggressive behavior towards Black women. You know, just not too long ago, there was a whole social media movement, protect Black women. Because, you know, when you have that stereotype of being the strong Black woman, nobody checks on you. There's nobody that comes to make sure that you're okay. If you're the strong one in your family, who calls you to say, sis, you okay, you got it? Because what society and the media has said and taught and reiterated and drove into the ground is that Black women really don't need protecting, they got it. I can't be the only one that feel that way. Am I the only one seeing that? Or they'll say, oh, you know, Black women are so independent. They want to be an independent woman. They don't need that. But even in our own families, I can remember, you know, before the Most High answered my prayers and sent me an amazing mentor. If you don't know who it is, you've been living under a rock. But I remember praying for somebody I could just talk to. I remember just praying, you know, could you just send somebody that will listen to me, that will help guide me, help me mature, help me identify my gifts. I just needed help. Because like many of you that are listening, many of you that are in the Zoom room, you are the backbone of your family. People need advice, they call you. People need, have questions about, you know, whatever it is, they coming to you. You had to pay the bills. Let me take it off you. I did. I had to pay my mama's bills. I had to be about 14. She'd give me a stack of money and she said, I'm going to work, go pay the light bill, go get some groceries and pay the phone bill. At 14, I was buying cigarettes at 8. So it's something about the responsible child. It's something about the child that is content playing by herself. It's something about the child that can walk home, go to the movies by themselves, you know, do things for themselves that they just don't get any support. Because you got it. And unfortunately, that is how society has painted a picture of Black women. We don't need any support, but the wage gap is getting bigger and bigger. Oh, they don't need any protecting. And it's over 200,000 Black women missing from cities all over this country. But we don't need protecting. You know, from videos to the boardroom, these stereotypes that they put on us, they are very, very hard to shake. Because what happens is we start to conform to what they say we are. Remember, I'll take that off, y'all. I'll use myself as an example. If you can relate to that, I see some of y'all in the chat saying, yeah, that's true. Keita, I see you say you was an only child. You know, it's that lack of a net. And it could be a detrimental thing. It could keep you frozen in fear. But you know, some gymnasts, they don't even use a net because they're fearless. But what happens when you start with all these stereotypes, you got to wear a mask because you can't ever complain because, you know, young ladies don't complain. It's just not ladylike. So you're trying to live your life wearing a mask that's not even for you. It's not. It's a mask that your mama put on you because, you know, it's time for you to grow up right now. It's a mask that your daddy may have put on you, you know, because you're his little girl, you're perfect. So your whole life you're trying to be perfect. You're living up to an ideal standard that you didn't even ask for. Or maybe you're the angry daughter. That's the mask that your sisters and brothers put on you. Or maybe you're the pretty one, or maybe you're the skinny one, or maybe you're the thick one. It's all these labels. And if you're not careful, you'll start to be exactly what they called you. I said what I said. I don't take it back. You know, it's that kind of introspection that you're going to have to shift this thing, to shift your life. You know, I remember sitting in church hearing the pastor talking about, you got to have a paradigm shift. And I kept thinking, well, what kind of shift is that? I mean, I could barely shift my mindset from one principle to the other, but this paradigm thing sounds like it's going to be huge. What does that mean exactly? You know, when it comes to your mindset and how you've been thinking, just think about how old you are or how young. And you think about all the years that stuff is piled up in your mind. How do you undo that? You know, how do you continue your life trying to be something that you just aren't? You know, it's not an easy thing to do. I had to have some help to undo mine. I'm just gonna tell you the truth. And I am, you know, the age that I am, and I still need somebody to speak life into me. I still need somebody to help me understand how to break out of the conformity. And not just from society, but for the limits I place on myself. Wearing a mask allows you to hide in mediocrity. And you know mediocrity hates excellence. So you can't be both mediocre and excellent. I'm sorry. Y'all need to pull that other slide back up. I said what I said. You can say ouch. That mask will never allow you to become the millionaire you're destined to be. That mask will never allow you to really live out your true potential. But I guarantee you what that mask will do is help you be complacent. It'll help you sit still, to keep you stuck. If you're just tired of being stuck, tired of wearing a mask that you didn't create for yourself, or even the one you did create, just put in the chat, in the Zoom room, on Facebook, I'm just tired. My favorite person had this thing she say, I was tired, boss. I was just tired. You know, if you're sick and tired of it, you just gotta start to be honest with yourself. You're only wearing the mask because you don't know who you are really. If you think back to the civil rights movement, if you think back to your grandma bringing you up, your mom bringing you up, they really didn't have a whole lot of time to help you figure yourself out, because everybody's on the move and it's only gotten busier. It's only gotten busier. We've only gotten more things to do, more, things to sort out, children to shuffle back and forth to school. And I promise you, I'm gonna be honest. Can I just be honest, y'all? Can you just tell me, somebody tell me I can just be honest. I can speak my mind. Zoom room, I can be honest. Let me just tell y'all this. When I had my daughters, and I think my daughter watching, baby, I love you. Mama don't mean no harm. But I felt like football, soccer, cheerleading, dance, I felt like that was the devil. I did. I felt like, my God, how much stuff can these kids do? I'm so busy. By the time I get through picking them up from school, dropping them off at practice, watching them practice, trying to figure out what I'm gonna feed them so I don't have to give them McDonald's every night. Y'all, I didn't have time to think about myself. What in the world? What did that mean? Why am I this busy where I can't even take a moment in the bathroom? If I went to the bathroom by myself, somebody was beating on that door. I think I told a good friend of mine a couple of weeks ago, I've never lived by myself. I got married young, got divorced young, by then I had children. I never got a chance to have that, let me move out into my own apartment by myself, Ari Lennox experience, right? I never had that. So I've always had to be who I needed to be in the moment. But I'm gonna tell y'all something that nobody told me during that time. It's okay to just be you. It's okay to just take a moment, take a breath, get you some help, journal. I don't know, whatever it is you gotta do. But don't lose yourself wearing that mask. That mask, I saw a movie one time, this little baby put on a mask. She didn't know the mask was cursed, and that mask stuck to her head and she couldn't get it off. She had to learn some lessons until she learned her lesson, that mask would not come off. Don't let that be you. If you want to figure out how to get rid of your mask, you want to figure out what I need to do to be able to just breathe and be myself, go ahead and schedule a call with me. Go ahead, bit.ly/pickupyourcrown. Get on the phone with me. We'll figure out how to take that mask off without removing half your face. I think my mask got snatched off. I was in shock. It's been 4 years and I'm still trying to figure out what happened, but I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. that the Most High sent somebody who loved me enough to help me take that mask off. Because I would not be who I am if I still was wearing that mask. All right, so y'all ready? Y'all ready to go a little bit deeper? If you're ready, say I'm ready in the chat. Come on, Zoom room, y'all ready? You ready to go a little bit deeper? Now look, we like to do some self-examination. We like to look and see, you know, how we're gonna move forward. Okay, I think Zoom room just told me that we can go a little bit deeper. Okay, Shanedra say she ready. Anybody else ready to go a little bit deeper? I bet y'all say, I didn't get up early in the morning for this. I'm glad you thought it was gonna be fun. All right. Okay, all right, Latasha said I can go a little bit deeper. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's your next exercise. I'm gonna give you about 2 to 3 minutes because y'all already know the math because you're picking them up every day. So it shouldn't take you that long to try to figure it out. I want you to make a list of all the masks you wear. All of them. The old ones, the ones you take off and put back on, the one you hide from yourself and then go back and find it. I want you to make a list of them. All right, Dee. Dee says she ready. All right, Tiffany, I see you. Make a list of all the masks you wear. I bet you say, man, nobody want to do that. But you sure not gonna want to do this. Next to each one, write out why you choose to wear it. Outside of each one, I just want to know. You ain't got to tell nobody like they tell you in church, baby, you just keep looking forward. You ain't got to even acknowledge that you've been hit. Just make, I'm telling you, it's going to help you. So you're going to make a list of the masks. Next to each mask that you write down, I want you to write next to that, why do you choose to wear it? And then I want you to think about what would happen if you took it off and you never put it back on again. What would that feel like? How would that make you feel not to have to be something you're not? How would that change your life if you didn't have to be everything to everybody? I mean, you know, we in the era of the me movement. Shoot, what about me? I'm tired. I'm tired of being my boss's work wife. I gotta listen to him talk about his weekend like we together. I don't want to hear all that. I just want you to pay me what you owe me. Can we talk about a raise? You know, I'm tired of being the friend that everybody talk to me about their baby daddy. Why do I have to listen? But then when it's time for you to talk, you ain't got time to hear me? I'm tired. And I'm tired of putting on the mask that says, this is a mask that I created for myself. I'm tired of putting on the mask that says, I'm okay with settling in my life. I wore that mask for 11 years, y'all. Well, this is just my life. Let me pick this. I'm just gonna settle for it mask and put it on. I might as well go on. Let me polish that up and put that one on today. As you know, I'm gonna put it on. That mask that you put on that says everything's okay. I'm happy. Oh, I really don't need any more money. I'm happy. No, I really don't need to start that business I've been wanting to start. I'm good working. That's how I used to talk to myself. I ain't making fun of y'all. I'm telling y'all about me. Oh, it's okay. You know, I don't want anything better than this. This is all good. That's the mask. That's the worst mask of all. The one that we put on ourselves, the mask of I'm just gonna settle for this. So if you're tired of settling and you're really ready for a change, go ahead and schedule that call with me. Y'all already know, half of y'all in here already know, and those of you that are gonna be watching on the replay, when you get this later, you already know I'm telling you the truth. I can't be nothing but straight with you. So I had to be straight with myself. And the further you run from yourself, the further away you're gonna get from your success. The further away you're gonna get from living your best life, knowing your value. People only undervalue you because you allow them to. Y'all can say ouch. Or maybe y'all heard it this way. This way my grandma used to say, baby, you gotta teach a man how to treat you. That goes for your boss. That goes for your friends. You gotta teach people how to treat you. Listen, I get it. Earlier, y'all said y'all was sick and tired. Oh, y'all quiet over there on Facebook. I am sorry, not sorry. But I'm gonna tell you this, it gets better once you remove it. Once you take the mask off, once you decide you're not gonna settle anymore, once you make up your mind that you want better, that's how it happened for me. I just woke up one morning and said, I don't want to do this no more. My ex-husband was stunned. He was like, are you serious right now? I am so serious right now, dude. I don't want to do this with you no more. I'm done. He was like, I just want my old wife back. Well, she dead, she gone. She not ever coming back. You used to be so sweet. You used to just do what I asked. Yeah, I don't want to do that no more. I burnt that mask and I haven't put it back on since. If you want help lighting the fire, setting fire to yours, go ahead and book a call. Zora Neale Hurston, she's an author. This is my favorite quote, y'all. Sometimes I feel discriminated against, but it does not make me angry. It merely astonishes me. How can anyone deny themselves the pleasure of my company? It's beyond me. I want y'all to listen, look at that's confidence. That doesn't mean it's something wrong with you. It's something wrong with them. When you see this quote, this is the picture of who we should be on the inside. What's wrong with them? It's not you. Because sis, I'm telling you, you're a star. The whole world is clamoring for you. The whole world wants what you have. They need you. They need you to show up. It's that simple. And we as Black women, we've been forced into these roles that other people have defined. We talked about that. You know, you think about that. You know, you think about, they said that you were the help. You're a video vixen. You too masculine. You strong. You know, that's okay. If somebody put a 10 in the chat, if one of these things was said about you, just throw a 10 up. You too strong. You too masculine. You too woke. I did that for somebody special. So you know who it is. You too woke. They don't want to talk to you about nothing. They don't want to go deep. They don't want to think about, have intellectual conversations. But look, we got to take our power back. It starts with us because we are so much more. We are so much more than what they say we are. If you want to know exactly how much more, y'all know what to do. Schedule a call. But I want to share something with you guys right quick before I let y'all go. Do y'all know who this is? And it's not my fault. Thank you for that 10, that 10 Rose. All right, Shanette just said she ain't going back to sleep. Look at them 10s. I get it. But do y'all know who this is? This is Hattie McDaniel. Hattie McDaniel was the first Black woman to win an Oscar. I know a lot of people thought it was Halle, but I think Halle won in a different category, but this woman won an Oscar for the best supporting actress role in a movie called Gone with the Wind. Right? She played a maid or a slave. I know maid is the nice one, the nice way to say it, on a movie called Gone with the Wind. And she got a lot of flack for playing that role. Oh, you know, it's demeaning, is this, is that. But listen, she took the hand that she was dealt, because she was a great actress. She took the hand that she was dealt, parlayed that into an Oscar, even though when she went to the Oscars, she still had to sit in the back of the theater. She wasn't allowed to have dinner with the other actresses and actors that were nominated. They did ask her to go in through the back door, but she paved the way for so many Black actresses that they started to aspire to win an Oscar. They started to take roles that would shed light on the plight of the Black woman. These are the roles, these are the things that we should be proud of. These are some of the same things that you can do. You just have to be a first. These are the Amazons of Benin, Nigeria. I know y'all thought Wonder Woman, yeah, she's an Amazon, she's supposed to be Amazon. But I wanted to show you guys. This is an all-female army for the Benin Empire. I know you guys watch Black Panther. These are who the Dahomies, they are based on this tribe. When you think about conforming to roles, I don't mind you calling me a warrior. You got Queen Ya Asatwa. She's from the Asante Kingdom in Ghana. The British Army came to her and said, we want the golden stool. That's the seat of the king. And here on the continent of Africa, the women decide who the kings or the next king is going to be. She's a queen mother. And the British major said, I want the golden stool. I'm going to come and get the stool. We defeated you, so I'm going to take your throne. And she said something that my mama used to say, but I'm sure she said it in Tree or Fonte or whatever her language was. She said, I wish you would come and get it. And she rallied over 1,000 warriors and sent those people packing. If you come to Ghana today, you can see that stool. She never let it leave the continent. So when you think about who you are and who you could be, you got to know that you come from a long line of leaders, activists, and artists. So I got to ask you a hard question. What's holding you back? What's holding you back? What's keeping you from living the life that you deserve to live? That's right, B. We are powerful people, and we somehow forgot that. We somehow forgot who we were. We forgot that we were more than what we learned in our history classes in high school or what we learned in college. We're so much more. But what would you do to claim your best life? What would you sacrifice? Because I'm just going to tell you, I had to sacrifice everything for mine. And I searched for it. I looked in clubs, I looked in church. I had bad relationships. I read all the books. I've had so many careers, but nothing helped me get there. Because I was looking for myself. You know, it's something to be said about asking for help. It's something to be said to not know where to look and not have the support that you need. But I knew for a fact that I needed help. I knew for a fact that I couldn't get there on my own. I knew that I needed somebody somewhere to come in and say, girl, I got you. You know, and I want to tell y'all something else. It's not your fault. You know, it's not our fault. We didn't have anything to kind of look back to or to aspire to because our true history is hidden. It was hidden from us. But I want to take a break right now. And I want to bring up somebody that can share their experience about how they felt when they first learned. And maybe not first learned, but when they were reintroduced to their African heritage. And I want to say this too, you know, some of us are African heritage, some of us have African indigenous heritage. Just depends on what your DNA says. But I want to bring up Coach Danielle because Coach, you know, we have lots of long conversations about stuff. And it's so sweet because she just listens to me and I just been here talking about, did you know that in 1816, it was a Black queen in Europe? And she go, what? So Coach, you want to talk a little bit about your experience and, you know, just what you've learned?
So, you know, I think the amazing thing is that I'm really still learning. And the truth is that I may never know it all. I do know enough not to be ashamed of my size, and I do know enough not to be ashamed of my skin. I do know enough to know that I've been lied to, and I know enough to know that the only person that can change the narrative is me. And that I've got to be happy with myself. And I've got to understand what my people have contributed to the greater good. I think that his story, because we didn't write it, sometimes tends to not be quite the truth. And that the only way for us to get our own truth is to do the work. We got to be willing to look back. We got to be willing to read some books. We got to be willing to go beyond the surface because his story is surface level. The truth is much deeper. And I think if we start to look back at the creativity, the ingenuity, the resourcefulness of our forefathers, we quit tripping on the small shit.
Real talk.
I always say, you know, the fact that Harriet came back for anybody the way they was beating her all upside the head. So much so that she was subject to blackouts in few states. But she kept going back. And here we sit, worried about what somebody gonna say about us. Somebody that ain't even paying our bills. And here we sit, worried about having Brazilian butt lifts and tummy tucks and shit that ain't gonna carry you into the hereafter. Here we sit watching each other tear each other apart for entertainment and not being willing to stand up to those same studios and say, look, that's not me. I don't know where we lost our power now.
I know it's time for us to get it back. That's the
I don't
beautiful
know. I
thing.
don't know where we lost our power.
I think a place to start would be believing what you see. You know, Ray and I were coming from the store yesterday or the day before, whatever day it was, and the one of the cab drivers, the Uber driver, he was like, "Oh, you're Black American." We were like, "Yeah, we're Black American." He was like, "Oh, I love America." I said, "Do you?" He said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." He said, "But oh, they tell us stories about you." I said, "What do they say?" "Oh, we see that they say, like on the television, guns and violence and, they don't work." He said, "But everyone that I've met is not true." He said, "Hardworking, kind, peaceful people." I said, "But that's how it is." So if you got people in other countries watching television and saying that's how they are, we're not the only one that's been deceived. That's where we lost it. People believe what they see on TV, what they read in the papers, and what they apparently see on music videos. So
Apparently.
it's that bridge. That's right, Earth. That's not our real story. It's that bridge that we just have to cross and have those hard conversations about, hey, this is what it really is. This is who we really are. And it's not that. I think that's where we lost it. Big Mama ain't out there in the street. That's a line, you know it. Because Big Mama used to defend you to the end. We got to start defending ourselves and defending our sisters and defending our brothers.
And defending our wealth. Stop letting
That's
them folks steal from you at a job. I mean, I've been there, done that. I'm not gonna lie to kick it. I thought that, what the little peas they was paying me was the stuff, and not realizing that some of them peas they paying you is because, you're making them whole pies. And at the end of the day, if you can either accept it or do something different. I don't know if you guys know or not, but Chanel doesn't even live in America. She lives in Ghana. You don't have to sit over here and pay this high rent. You ain't got to sit over here and work like a dog. You just don't have to. But see, they've got you so conditioned that, you know, living in America is the only option you have. They don't tell you about how you can live in Africa for $1, the Philippines, beautiful countries all over the place. They don't let you know how you'll be welcome in Africa. They don't let you know how they're gonna roll out the carpet. Funny thing is Chanel, I'm doing my mail, y'all, and I'm not gonna stop because if I stop, Chanel gonna beat me Monday. So let me keep doing what I'm doing. But they don't tell you you've got options other than doing what you're doing. They don't tell you you'll be welcome in Africa. Chanel tickles me when she talks about how when you go to Africa, you're the priority. It doesn't matter what other race is in line because you're Black, you come ahead, you come forward. When you go to the immigration offices and you go to these other places, you become the VIP, because you're from America. Y'all need to quit playing and stop staying where you're tolerated and start going where you're celebrated. You need to, and that's how my whole mindset is. Why sit in struggle, or why sit in barely, or why sit in almost when you can move around and have it all? Be appreciated, be on the magazine covers, be on every television station. See, we've forgotten that there is a place where we're not the minority. We have forgotten there's a place that you can take your paycheck right now and be almost rich.
Oh,
Wouldn't take much to push you into the rich denomination. Y'all need to understand that where you are now is you put yourself there, or you may have been placed there. Right? It ain't your fault. Staying is your fault.
that's
Chanel
good.
said earlier, what's going on with you is not your fault. It's not. Staying is your fault. Staying is your fault. So when you get to that point where you want to do something different, maybe you start to look at options that are not so readily. Maybe you take the trip to Africa so you can look and see another world, another vision. Maybe you take that trip to Africa so that you can understand that you ain't got to stay where you are. And that, but when Chanel first went to Africa, and doggone Troy was asking her every day about elephants and lions and tigers. And she was like, Troy, it's just as many city lights. It's just as many high rises. It's just as much, you know, city life here as it is in the United States. So, a lot of times, again, that television is the devil.
It is. It
We
is.
sit and we watch that television lie to us about what the rest of the world looks like, and we won't get up. We won't get up and go see. We won't get up and go check. We won't get up and go look. And they bank on the fact that you won't go any further than your television. They bank upon the fact that you're so comfortable with less than that you won't get up and move around and see places where you can have more than. But baby, they ain't got to worry about me too much longer. Because we're at that point, we're at that place where we can work anywhere in the world, so why not? You don't have to stay in any one particular place. At the end of the day, you got to start looking at your life and saying to yourself what you want and what you don't want anymore, and being able to move the needle. And if you can't do it by yourself, get some help. Schedule a call with Chanel. Start realizing what your spirit should look like. Start realizing what your confidence should look like. It's just a different way, y'all. And again, you don't have to sit to the side. You don't have to wait on your ship to come in. You better wade out into that water and find your ship.
That was great. That was great.
I'm not waiting on my ship.
I know that's right, Coach. We're gonna go on and get your ticket so you can come on to Africa.
Oh, I can't wait. The only question is, who's going with me?
So listen, guys, I'm just super excited.
Y'all going to Africa with me?
Who you bringing to Africa?
I'm asking all of them. Who's going to Africa with me?
Kay said it was a whole vibe when she it is. It is. It's a whole different vibe. Latasha say she coming. Who else coming? Said she coming.
Y'all better do something new and stop running around talking about you can't afford. Fixing your mouth. They got so many payment plans available now.
What part you go to, Kay? What part of Africa? Just curious. Oh, Keita, I know you coming. So guys, thank you so much. Oh, Nigeria, that's next on my list. Nigeria is next on my list. So guys, remember to be back here tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. to kick off day 2. Huh?
I'm dismissed.
I didn't dismiss you, but if you need to, dear.
Nah, I was still talking.
Oh boy, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just playing.
Look, I saw you. Look, let me show you what you did. I saw you do this here. When you do this, I know you do. You sat
Oh
back.
no. I'm leaning with and rocking with this male.
Oh, okay.
I rock
Okay.
on this male, so these folks call me Rocky. I gotta lean with it and rock with it,
I understand.
It ain't my favorite thing to do.
I'm glad you're doing it though. So,
Yeah.
like I said, tomorrow morning we'll be back here at 8 a.m. And tomorrow we're going to talk about reparations. So, look, let me tell you something. Reparations is coming. You got to start trying to position yourself
Start
now.
telling them first it's real.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I think that, and it's just me personally, I think that for so long we've heard tell of reparations, but we don't know the validity. We've made so many jokes about 40 acres and a mule.
Child, I don't know what 40 acres and a mule would have cost America back in the gap, but I know the number that they're bouncing around in Congress is $40 trillion. $40 trillion for reparations. And not only is America talking about reparations, but Ghana is talking about reparations. The reparations should be paid from them to those that were taken. So it's something to be said about positioning yourself. And even if you don't believe it, even if you don't, still having the forethought to go and say, let me do my lineage, let me trace my ancestry, let me start really looking into those family papers that you might have. So tomorrow we're talking about ancestry, reparations. So you want to be here, invite somebody, invite someone. If this blessed you today, go ahead and invite somebody. Yeah, that's true. They are. They're giving away land over here in Ghana. They're giving away land in Tanzania. They're giving away land in Kenya. A lot of the chiefs are giving away land because you have to understand that slavery affected the continent. I want y'all to hear that. How many countries was affected? And we always think about what happened to us because we were there, but it's just as bad as what happened to them because they lost generations of people. So tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., don't forget to schedule a call, bit.ly/pick up your crown 2022. See you guys tomorrow morning. Thank you, Marnie.